Ni hao Ireland, which means hello friends. Today we're going to be talking about Australia versus LA while you get ready with me. I'm sure most people are watching this because they want to know what it's like, differences between acting in Australia and acting in LA. And I would say the biggest thing, at least for me, is the opportunities. Because there's just way more opportunities in LA compared to Australia.
The other really obvious thing I noticed when I moved to LA is that the people in the industry, creatives, actors, writers, directors, they're all multi-hyphenates. They all do a bunch of things at once. You just can't actually be just an actor or just a writer or just a director. It's just there's outlets to do a million things. But it turns out I'm not funny compared to LA funny. Maybe I'm like an 8 out of 10 funny in Brisbane, but in LA, I'm like a 2 out of 10 funny. So many stand-up comedy houses that you can perform in and learn really quickly skills, improve your acting. I was definitely getting better just by repetition every single night going out trying to do comedy. I'm really grateful that I moved to LA because that's actually when I started learning all the different skill sets I needed to thrive in the industry, learning how to produce, make my own films, not only the social media stuff, also getting films made. I would not have an Amazon movie if I had not moved to LA, for sure, and not met the people that I met over there. So if you are thinking of moving to LA for work, at least in the film and TV industry, it's definitely worth it. The comedy in LA, or at least in America in general, I think is way more different to Australia. They're so sensitive over there. Whereas in Australia, I find that people are not as sensitive. Like they will just hear a joke and see it as a joke and not be offended by it, especially if it's a racial driven joke in Australia. But in America, oh my God, if you accidentally make a racist, even racist leaning joke, you will get caught out so fast. 2 examples I give you. One time I went to a party and this guy was introducing himself to me. And I think his name was like Mountie or something. It definitely ended with an N-I-E. And I thought he had said brownie and he was Indian. So at the top of my lungs at this party, I was half tipsy. So I was like, did you say your name's Brownie? And everyone, there was like 7 people in the group, turned to me and they were just like, oh my God, Shu, you cannot say that out loud. Harry is like, oh, sorry. I mean, they weren't offended because they knew I wasn't trying to be racist, but they were all just like, in like a teasing way. But it's like so instinctual. If you are in film and TV and you move to LA, it can be really hectic. 90% of the people you come across are in the industry or trying to get in the industry somewhere or somehow. So just make sure that you find your peace, find your people, and just remember who you are, as I've been living in LA. First thing, food. The food quality is so different. In Australia, we're pretty lucky. We get pretty good produce. We've got a lot of land, a lot of resources, really good quality meat, the beef, chicken. I guess the quality is good. And I wouldn't say it's ridiculously more expensive. In LA, if you want to get organic food, you can. It's just like this tiny little section in the grocery store and it's really expensive. One thing that I love, there's just so much variety of food in any culture that you want. And there's a bunch of restaurants. In American cities compared to Australian cities, the population's a lot greater, especially in LA. Obviously, the variety of food is going to be expensive. Also, for the time, like they open so much later, so you can get decent food at all hours of the day. In Brisbane, even in Sydney, if you want a late night snack, it's actually pretty hard to find, especially if you're out in the burbs. If you want kind of cheap food, and the takeaway food is a lot cheaper in America compared to Australia, but if you want fine dining, it's next level expensive in America. And accommodation is expensive in LA compared to Brisbane. If you want like really luxury lifestyle, you'll be paying for it. Convenience is a commodity in LA. It is something that has changed my life. Amazon Prime. You could not ask for that. You couldn't pay for that in Australia. Well, you could. It's like very expensive. It's so convenient. You can order anything you could ever want on Amazon and it just appears at your doorstep. There's also so many food delivery apps that you can get food on at any time of the day and they come pretty quick. Last minute, you need something delivered but you don't have time to get it. Instacart. Someone does your groceries for you. picks them up, and then brings it to you. It's so convenient. But in Australia, you'd be waiting like a week or 2 weeks for the same thing to be delivered. I discovered one thing that was really weird is Americans don't like to do takeaway. The mentality is just finish your food, and then if you don't finish it, just leave it there. So wasteful. When we transfer money to people, especially companies, you want to pay for something, normally you bank transfer people money. You don't use checks, you don't send out personal checks anymore. Not the same in America. They be sending out checks. Like, I send checks to my lawyers when I pay them. But at the same time, they have Venmo, which is this app that lets you transfer money to people just with a handle. So convenient. Alcoholic drinks are so much cheaper in America. And their shots, they don't measure them, I don't think. They'll give you like 2 shots for the price of 1. You know, in Australia, we have responsible handling certificate before they can serve you alcohol. To give you an idea, if you go to CVS, buy a big ass Grey Goose bottle of vodka, it'll cost maybe like $50 in America. In Australia, it'd be like $150. Everything's just 3 times more. Have fun becoming an alcoholic in America because it is cheaper. It's way easy. This is an American thing, not an LA thing. Americans use creamers in their coffee. It's just really thick milk. They call their milk products different names to what we call them. There's like 2% milk. 1% milk. I still don't know what that means. Instead of we have like full cream milk and skim milk, and that's it. But the fact that they have creamers instead of milk is wild, and people use that just nonchalantly. I think it tastes weird. It's like the creamer also has different flavors of creamers, and it's really sweet. Like everything in America is absurdly sweet. I never consume any of those because it's too much for me. I think the offering in America is a lot more generous. Like their serving sizes are huge. Like you pay like $1 more and it's just free refills. They just encourage you to consume in that country. The nightlife, the lifestyle is so different. People stay up till all hours of the morning, like 2-3 hours. Like 2-3 a.m. is a normal time for you to stay up in LA, whereas everyone here is in bed by 10 p.m. Which again, the whole city just encourages you to have a really unbalanced late night lifestyle. But it's great when you're young and you're chasing your career because you want to be out late meeting people. Like in house parties, they start so late. The house party, they'll say, arrive at 8, and people still be arriving at 10, 11 p.m. and the party goes till like 3 a.m. And that's just so normal in LA. And in Australia, it's like they go short, starts maybe 8, ends at 12, and then they go home. Over there's a lot of music, a lot of alternative music, rap music. Australia, we have a pretty simple taste in music. I do like the rap beats though. It's hardcore. I love how creative people are in LA. There's just so much more of everything. It is the best way to describe LA. Infinite options. Great if that's what you're looking for. I've been in LA for 4 years now, and I've definitely gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I've done the infinite options thing. I want to choose a few options I like and just stick to it. And the one thing about America is at the petrol station, you can pay for petrol with your card at the pump. Because in Australia, way too much trust, but you pump your petrol first and then you go and pay for it. Oh, but you know why? It's a marketing scheme. They want you to go into the store and buy something. If you just pay at the pump, you don't go into the store, less chance of them making a sale. So in LA, there's public transport. It exists. There's buses and metros that you can take, but nobody really uses them because they're so dodgy. But it is convenient. There's a metro stop right outside my door, and I used to take it to go down to the city to take my stand-up classes. I've used it before, but it's just not common. Like most people drive. In Brisbane, it's pretty common to take public transport. Although I have discovered how expensive public transport is in Brisbane. It was like $5 to go from the city to Toowong. I ended up Ubering because Ubering was $10. I was like, it was not worth it for me. They need to make public transport cheaper in Australia. In LA, it's like $2 to go anywhere you want. Even though it is cheaper, people should use it more. I think if they made public transport system better in LA, more people would use it because it's so cheap. That's basically most of my observations between Australia and LA. If you're going there, you just be prepared and make sure you find a really good friendship group, find your people and safe people to live with because you can get really distracted. Oh, there are good people in LA You just have to find them. I can't emphasize how important it is to have a good group of friends and a good support group when you're in LA, because it makes all the difference. When I didn't have that, I was super depressed. And when I had that, I was really happy. It really made a huge difference to my mental health. That concludes my episode. Thanks for getting ready with me. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.